Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. In this week's show, we're going to recap Fight to Win 151 and Third Coast Grappling Kumite 6, headlined by Cashino, but the main event of that was Victor Hugo versus Roberto Jimenez, and goddamn, that was a good match. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, just my co-host.
Emil.
How you doing, Emil?
I'm doing great, man. That was a fucking awesome tournament. I mean,
it was a lot of fun.
I'm just, like, it's been so consistent now that the Kumites are just fucking awesome. Like, yeah. I really look forward to it.
In the bigger mat space, too. We'll talk about all that coming up in the recap section for Third Coast Grappling Kumite 6. But before that, a little bit of news. I don't have a ton of news, aside from a couple of promotions have announced events. SUG, what is that number? Is that 18 in Roman numerals?
That's 18, yeah.
SUG 18 has announced 3 weeks away, October 4th, headlined by Vinny Magalhães versus Mason Fowler. Is Vinny's leg
what the fuck?
Good?
How?
His leg was broken in half, correct?
Yeah.
That wasn't that long ago.
That wasn't that long ago.
That was like what?
It must have just been a partial tear.
No, his leg was broken. Like, I think his leg was broken.
I thought it was just ligaments.
No, I thought it was like he broke his leg.
If it was a bone break, that actually heals faster than ligaments.
Oh, so it makes sense that he could actually
Yeah.
Huh.
You can break a bone depending. It all depends on the bone, but like.
Yeah, kind of important there.
Yeah, but like, you can actually heal a bone and get it cast off in like 6 weeks.
Yeah, when I broke everything in my arm and hand, it was like
if you actually tear ligaments, that's like 6 months.
Dude, 6 to 9 months.
Yeah,
I sprained both my LCL. Sorry, I sprained my, I think LCL in one knee, and then 6 months later LCL in the other knee. And there was a time period where they both like weren't super happy, and like they were tweaky for like another year.
Ligaments take way longer to heal.
So that's the main event. I'm happy to preview that in like 2 weeks. I'm super curious to see how that plays out.
That should be interesting. I mean, Mason has amazing pressure. Vinny can fucking withstand that though, no problem, and generate his own. Plus, Vinny's like substantially bigger.
Vinny's a big dude.
Yeah.
I mean, straight up heavyweight.
Yeah.
Rachel just texted me, no blood flow to the ligaments.
There you go.
Yep.
Sweet.
That's why they take so long to heal.
There you go. Sweet.
I wish I could yell when the mic's right here. Like, thank you. So, Rachel was my fiance, if anyone doesn't know. Like 100 episodes ago, she talked about breaking my knee with me knee barring. So
she would know exactly about breaking.
She's also in PTA, and she's a very, very smart person. Like,
absolutely
far smarter than me. So I take whatever she tells me. Like, that's probably correct. Also on the card, we have Lee Taylor versus Kendall Riesling. Great match. We have William Tackett versus Gabriel Checo. Both guys we see a ton of. We see Gabriel a ton on SUG. We have Keith Krikorian versus Rafael Domingos. Did these guys meet on Shugio? Were they on the same side of the bracket? I thought they met in Shugio.
I can't
Were they
remember.
on different sides of the bracket? I'm going to go back and watch that to make sure that I, for some reason, think that they were on different sides of the bracket. Earlier in the week when this got announced, I thought they were on the same side of the bracket. But because I know Domingos fought Orchard, and I know he fought... Did he fight Holy? Or did he fight Weisenberg?
I cannot remember.
Okay. We also have Brian Neuro versus Cody Steele. And then the undercard, we have Emil Fisher versus Hunter Colvin. We saw Emil this week retain his brown belt Nogi title, Masters Nogi title at Fight to Win. We have Nicholas Maximov versus Aaron Tigas. We have Pierre Olivier Leclerc versus Andy Valera. We have Pablo Alfonso versus Andrew Alexander. And Alan Sanchez versus Justin Rennick. Dude, this is a fire card.
Outstanding.
Right? A bunch of names we've covered frequently on SUG and other promotions. Like, SUG has been nailing the matchmaking lately. So that is super exciting. Also coming up in a couple weeks, we have the Third Coast Kumite
7.
I think it's Kumite 7 taking place on... My notes are all out of order here. Taking place on the 27th. Is that right? Taking place on the 26th. It's the women's Kumite, and man, we have some great names announced for this. We have a first-round matchup between Raquel Canuto and Baby Vieira. We haven't seen Baby in a bit here, but...
the last time I remember is...
Fight to Win.
I can't remember if I covered that. I do remember the black belt CBD, though.
We've covered her a couple times since then. I think a couple times on Fight to Win. I think she fought Luisa Montero at one point. I think she fought... wasn't Alan Carr. It was... might have been Alan Carr. I don't remember. I don't think she's been on Polaris, though, but we've covered her a couple of times since then. Fun matches. Also, first-round matchup, we have Jenna Bishop versus Natalie DeJesus. That's a really, really good matchup. Both ladies. I think it's funny that Canuto and Vieira are both like 2 weight classes below, and DeJesus and Bishop are like 2 weight classes above that. We also have Nathalie Ribeiro versus Andressa Sintra. Andressa Sintra is always really fun. I did a great interview with her at Third Coast Grappling down, what event was that? It was Bonoco versus Gordon Ryan. I found an interview for her that I think is either on our channel or on the BJJ Fanatics YouTube channel that you can look at. Also on that card, we have a matchup between Gustavo Batista and Trator, which should be fire. So looking forward to that in a couple weeks. Dude, Third Coast Grappling is putting on a bunch of events in rapid succession. Other than that, for news, Polaris squads, they kind of quintet style Polaris event. They announced the rules for it I think a week or two ago. We'll preview that in more depth and detail. It's honestly super interesting, the rule set for that. It's very similar to quintet, but like there's more ability for team selection. So it's cool. That happens on the 27th. Who's number 1 with Gordon Ryan and Mateus Diniz, which I'm hyped for. I think Craig Jones is also on it. That's a stacked card. Is on October 2nd. Pans is October 8th to 11th. And Quintet has announced another event, October 27th, Quintet Fight Night 5 in Tokyo. And then we also have Spider Korea, the championship for the under 65 kilogram division, happens in the end of October.
Damn, that is a busy month.
Right? I got to start updating the website again because I haven't done that in a little bit. Not going to lie. Don't go to the Grappling Rewind website /events and find out, what the latest events are. I'm going to update that probably hopefully before the show comes out. So it should be updated by the time this comes out. Other than that, I don't have any additional news. Do you have any news, Emil?
No, I got nothing.
All right, let's move into the recap section. Do Third Coast Grappling first?
Let's do Third Coast.
Let's talk about Third Coast Grappling, Kumite 6, headlined by...
This was an absolute, right?
Yeah, Emil.
I think it was...
definitely was the absolute.
Yeah. Because we saw very disparate sized people competing. This was an awesome event.
I didn't have my notes up. I had to go find them.
So starting off, we have Victor Hugo defeating Arnaldo Maidana via choke.
We have a 8-man bracket for $10,000. We had 2 returning champions. Did Felipe Andrew also take a championship or no?
Yeah, I think he's won one.
So 3 returning champions. We had Victor Hugo, we had Roberto Jimenez, and we had Felipe Andrew. All have taken home Kumite $10,000 checks in the last 2 months, probably.
More like I think 3 or 4 months, but yeah.
But all pretty recently, we've all taken out $10,000 checks. So Third Coast Grappling brought out the heavy hitters. We had Victor Hugo, Arnaldo Maidana, Felipe Andrew, Arnaldo Mello. We had Gabriel Almeida versus Felipe Trovo, and we had Roberto Jimenez versus Guillermo Augusto in the first round. Where do you want to start in the first round?
Well, off the bat, like I said, Victor Hugo defeating Arnaldo Maidana via choke. And by the way, again, they've just put together these absurd tournaments with phenomenal talent. Even the new people that they're introducing, like Felipe Trovo, we saw him on Subversive.
Yep, we saw him on Subversive 3.
Yeah,
he was the under. Oh, he was the over. I think he was the. I thought he was the bigger guy. But he was the heavyweight for the Gracie Barra team.
Right.
On Subversive 3.
Yep. So we saw him on an absolute tear in Subversive. So this is just great. We're seeing the really exciting returning champions who are all finishers, like Jimenez, Hugo, and Andrew.
Really great finishing percentage on this one. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was a lot of matches that are and he finished in the finals. We got a finish.
Yep. So first up, Victor Hugo defeating Arnaldo Maidana via choke. So Hugo does just amazing passing work.
Just a tripod pass, gets to 3/4. I couldn't see the far side foot on this pass, but the commentary was just didn't even address that he got stuck in 3/4. It just looked like he passed immediately through 3/4 guard here.
And then just starts snaking his way up into mount. When you have someone as big as Victor.
Hugo's what about? We think...
They said 250. Howell said 250.
At 240. And then Howell was talking about him at 250. So it's I assume he's in that range.
I'm pretty sure I would trust them because they probably weighed in to some degree,
It wouldn't surprise me either way if they it isn't absolutely if they did or didn't. I wouldn't be surprised.
Regardless,
either way.
I'm sure. Like,
but Hal is usually pretty good with information as far as like
and like you know
that kind of stuff.
Howell has covered events recently that Hugo's been on, so I'm pretty sure he's aware. So yeah, it's brutal anytime you have a big guy that knows how to settle down, that starts getting up high
under your elbows.
Oh, dude, it's the worst. And Hugo does such a great job at controlling this position, and then again snakes his way up high and then gets an Ezekiel choke finish.
Yeah, basically. I couldn't. Again, there's a couple finishes here that the camera angle was like to the backside of the opponent.
It was. This was one of them, but
couldn't quite tell. But the commentators said it was Ezekiel, and it looked like a really standard, what I call like an executioner style Ezekiel, where you have the hand behind the head.
Yeah,
you have that.
You're almost in a tech mount style position.
Yeah. Basically, the Ezekiel that instead of going behind them to finish it, you just finish like
on
over top of them as they kind of start to turn away to get out of the choke.
It's so gangster.
It's just such a brutal choke. And
because the blade of your wrist is going right down on the carotid. It's not like if you do it straight on.
It's not a nice choke.
No, it's not. Well, honestly, it's nicer than if it's straight up on your windpipe. So
yeah, shades of gray for that one, Emil. Yeah, it's nicer if like
Look, I would rather have a blood choke than a.
I would too. I'd also rather not do MMA. Yeah, it's nice you can't punch you in the face here. Like it's a way nicer choke.
Anyway, next up, Felipe Andrew defeating Arien de Mello via arm triangle. This was fucking great. Felipe dominated this match. Floating on knee shield, he eventually gets behind the head, lapel under the armpit grip, and just demolishes any remaining guard at that point.
Dude, I love the passing sequence here.
I love it too because
he's in a leg weave. He's in a leg weave. He uses I'm gonna call it the ass grip. He uses the ass grip in conjunction with like a really high like collar grip in order to basically flatten out the hips and just like preserve the positioning that he needs to pass.
He comes over the knee shield, which is really interesting. He doesn't go around it. He goes over it. And what's really amazing is he's not fully past the knee shield when he starts setting up that under the armpit lapel grip.
He kind of functionally is because he's around the outside, but what he's doing is he's pinning the hips in place so that
he's squashed it, but he's not past. What allows him to really pass is once he gets that lapel grip, then he really pulls through. And what's amazing is he takes his head and puts it under the armpit for that grip, already setting up the arm triangle before he's even fully past the legs.
Before he's even like mostly past.
Yeah.
He's preemptively putting himself there in a position that like, because he knows he has the control he needs to pass. Also, if he doesn't get the pass based on where his body, where his hips are, he's not really in a terrible spot to have to defend anything.
Nope.
Like, so it's like, there's not really a reason why he can't plant his head there and get in the way of the arm coming down. He gets the mount. He's already has the head under the arm.
He has the arm isolated.
Arm triangle.
Yep.
He just slides off. Like he's not in mount that long.
No, it's very quick. And then so that was a nice detail, was having that head placement and grip already setting up the arm triangle. The next thing that he did that was really slick was when he jumped past mount to the side to finish the arm triangle, he did a really nice butterfly hook to elevate the leg and prevent Arien from trying to alleviate pressure by following his hips. Yeah. So it was just a really nice finish.
It was a quick finish too. And I really love the hip positioning on the fall over, where it's like he doesn't make a ton of space, but he does it nice and like controlled and quickly gets to the angle he needs to get the tap. And it was overall just a really nice sub.
Yep. Next up, we have Gabriel Almeida defeating Felipe Petrova via sweep in overtime. Trovo was whooping ass this match. So this is one of those cases where it was like regulation and overtime went in two completely different directions.
Correct.
Like Trovo starts off with a nasty flying triangle, like closes it and is not far from finishing it. At one point he hits an omoplata triangle
that was
combo.
A great combination. He's in like the omoplata. He has the angle all the way turned. The commentator's like, he's gonna go for the triple threat, and he starts going for the toe hold and like trying to get the sweep off of it. And that's sort of where regulation ends is after that.
And then he gets an arm bar. Remember?
Oh, yeah, the escape. Yeah.
Dude, so those are really amazing and very serious sub attempts, and credit to Gabriel Almeida for defending.
And this is kind of when I would like to throw points at sub attempts. I don't know how you would do it properly.
It's hard because
So hard. Where it's like, how far is a deep sub attempt? How's not? And you get in this weird.
It's very subjective
territory.
But these were, in my esteem, very good sub attempts.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, I would have awarded. You know, if you're I would say two out of 3 of these would have been worth
points
in my book. You know.
I mean, Trova was controlling that omoplata really, really well. And I was actually watching because my omoplata defense is garbage.
Yeah.
I'm just tough. And so I was actually watching what Almeida was doing with like his hand placement and how he decided to like take the inner groin grip on the pants in order to frame away and prevent Trova from making the angle to fully finish the omoplata. Like, they were nice little control battles. And then I loved that Almeida, in order to get out of the omoplata, basically gives Trova the armbar in transition, is able to come up with that. It was a whole like very nice controlled sequence of like nice grip battles. Also wearing different color gis always helps me out a lot.
Yep.
Finals match, please do that more.
So basically, Gabriel has 2 points in regulation, so he gets to pick. He elects for closed guard in overtime. It's golden score,
which means first to score any sort of points. But if you start in guard, you're either getting a sub or a sweep, and the other guy is either getting a sub or a pass.
Right. So overtime, like this, Gabriel's able to pull it off via what on paper would be called an omoplata sweep. It was a little bit more of a scramble that he ended up on top of.
Yeah, he kind of controlled the arm as he came up out of the omoplata, but he's able to end up in mount off, or like that what's that called? It's like the omoplata mount, where you're like sitting on the one arm on the outside. If you roll to your back or you step the leg over, you can get the mounted triangle or triangle from the back. But they still gave him mount points for that because he did change. It's not mount. They still gave him sweep points for that
because he came out on top.
Changed the position and ended up on top, which I was like, okay, that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it was definitely more of a scramble there, but he's still able to capitalize. I always really love when you have a match that goes one way with a technique, and then you have the other person at the end of the match win the match for that. I always love like when that happens in my matches, and when that happens in like when you watch it. I mean, there's the Hulk match, which is like the pinnacle of that with the Niz.
Yeah.
At Worlds a couple years ago.
Yeah, quarterfinals match, yeah.
Was that only a quarterfinals?
That was a quarterfinals match.
I always want to have that as the semis or the finals for the Worlds, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
I'll go back and watch that.
Or, you know,
match.
it might have been semis, but I can't remember.
That was the finals in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, we have Roberto Jimenez defeating Guillermo Augusto via choke.
I'm trying to find my notes. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, we see more like open guard and daily heaver work from Roberto versus like the standard close guard that he tends to play. Almost see a guard pass. And basically, it's awesome. Roberto turns almost getting his guard pass into like a tech up single leg that he takes to a body lock and then to a back take. And then as they're standing, Roberto chalks the outside far leg and knocks down Guillermo, gets on his back, and then he's able to just finish the choke. What I love that Third Coast has done is they give 4 points for the body triangle.
I am really beginning to... I mean, we've seen this for a while now, but like having watched Roberto so much over the past six months
yeah.
I have such an appreciation for his stand-up game. I think it's so well suited for jiu-jitsu.
He does a couple things super
his body lock is absurdly good.
That body lock that he hits, he is amazing. If he gets a body lock, like I need to watch his footwork a little more, because what he does here in transition, like he almost gets his guard passed and is able to turn almost getting his guard passed into like this great like fundamental chain wrestling up the body to go to single leg, to get the body lock, to get like you're trying to overhook. What's that judo throw? What's the name for it? When it's like the schoolyard bully, they have a body lock behind you, but you have the headlock, and it looks kind of like a harigoshi, but the positioning is different. And you see Guillermo kind of going for that, but Roberto...
Is it a Tayotoshi?
No, Tayotoshi is one of the legs out. It could be a variation of that. I don't know, but it's the schoolyard bully.
Is it over the hips or is it over the leg?
It could be either, usually over the hips, which you're looking for, because you have the headlock, but they have the body lock. And so a lot of people try to throw this on Jimenez, because Jimenez will historically get the body lock behind you before he's completely cleared his head to get behind you. And there's something he does with his footwork that prevents him from getting thrown over in this position. And I'm really curious to see what it is. If his ass really far out, or like what is he doing? Because he routinely will get this body lock and then turns it into back control. He gets the body triangle, which Third Coast gives you points for, which I love. Like, because it's the current meta. It's what should be a scoring position. They give you the 4 points for it. And he is crawling up the body, and then he goes from the body lock, he gets the grip he wants, and then he gets the bow and arrow off of it from like that nice back take position. And overall, the finishing sequence here was just beautiful. We spent some time on the back, but transitioning that almost guard pass into a back take was just like the whole sequence was, again, gave me a ton of respect for Jimenez's ability to like implement that back take game.
Got it.
It's just so dangerous.
I just took a look at the position that you were referring to, and I guess I would call it like an ogoshi, like just like the standard hip throw.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's what it is.
But
I know I could not come up with a name for it, but it's like we don't see guys get hit with that, or we don't see Jimenez get hit like that, and so many other people will get hit by that in that position.
We don't see ogoshi a lot. It's one of those things that we teach in jiu-jitsu as day one, kind of like judo throws, but we don't see it happen that much in competition. And I think it has to do with the fact that like if someone I think it has to do with the positioning and the fact that we like to take backs in jiu-jitsu. So like if someone's that far behind you, I think they're
actually they're not trying to get next to you and lift you, they're trying to get behind you and lift you, and the Ogoshi works better when they're kind of towards the side. Yeah, maybe. But I'm just curious because it seems like Jimenez is in that position a lot and never gets hit with that.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of curious to see like how his footwork, and just why it's not happening as much, because it doesn't happen to him.
Yep.
So it was a great sequence. Again, Jimenez getting it done via sub. Dude routinely subs, and so he's a lot of fun to watch. Moving on to semifinals.
Yep. Victor Hugo defeats Felipe Andrew via decision.
Nice single leg X work. It was honestly, we saw this particular match. I was actually super excited about this match. We saw this particular match the entire weekend. Like 50-50 back and forth, single leg X, back and forth work. Hugo at one point goes for that 50-50 arm lock that he's kind of known for. Goes to overtime. Hugo elects for close guard, and omoplata scramble at the end, kind of wins it, no score.
Yep. Roberto Jimenez defeats Gabriel Almeida via ankle lock.
45 seconds. Under 45 seconds.
Was hilarious. Dual leg locks, basically, and then it ends up in dual belly down leg locks, which I very rarely see, and that's not a place that I would want to be.
Dude, Jimenez's positioning here is like he's just like a full step ahead on the positioning, and you see Almeida sort of reactionarily going for the ankle lock, and you see Jimenez at one point actually resets the position to standing to get like a better bite where he wants to, and then drops back down. He tries to finish to the side, and then rolls all the way under for the belly down ankle lock.
Yep, that's it.
Great, 43 seconds.
Yep.
From start to match to finish. Great sub. Jimenez pulling a Felipe Andrew and hidden flash. That wasn't quite a flash sub, but like subbing quickly.
Yep.
So.
Finals match, Victor Hugo defeating Roberto Jimenez via toe hold. Damn.
Oh, so did we skip a match? No, we talked about the Jimenez match.
Yep.
This match was awesome.
Jesus. Yeah, this match was
came
great.
out of the gate.
Off the bat, Roberto is entangling for a knee bar. Victor is standing, like Roberto falls off, shoots a double. Victor answers and jumps a guillotine.
He counters with a guillotine. I was just like, and we're like a minute or less, or like 40 seconds
probably
into the
40
match.
seconds, yeah.
And I'm just like, holy shit, these guys are going. Like, they can't keep this pace the entire match. But then I look kind of at both of them like, yeah, they
kind of can.
Actually, both might be able to totally keep this pace. Like, Jimenez on top can keep this pace. Jimenez on bottom keep this pace. Hugo on the bottom can definitely run at this pace. We don't see Hugo typically implementing like a fast-paced game on top. He'll go in bursts, but I went like, he might be able to do this the entire match.
Yeah, amazing scrambles. Roberto has a standing pass to break Victor's like closed guard, and Victor sweeps, but Roberto follows through off of an omoplata sweep attempt. Damn near passes Victor Hugo's
off the
guard.
Omoplata attempt.
We
saw a bunch of omoplata attempts, like passes off of it, and like sweeps off of it this week. Like more so than. I think there's maybe more gi this week than usual.
I think so.
We didn't cover a whole lot of. We're not going to cover a whole lot of no gi this week, and I think I kind of forget how much of a factor at the higher level that omoplata sweep is in that controlling position.
Yeah, we see it a lot. You know who loves it is Marigali. Like Marigali fucking spams that shit.
He does. So does Keenan. Keenan will play that game too.
Yep.
If you're not familiar with the omoplata, watch a Clark Gracie video occasionally.
Yep. Well, yeah, exactly. The king of omoplatas.
If you don't know, like, if you haven't been watching jiu-jitsu for 10 years, like, go look. There's a meme, and if you don't know it, you should know it. And it's the most attractive guy in jiu-jitsu, and it's a picture of somebody standing at a Pans event, and Clark Gracie's looking at the camera. Like,
the wild thing is that's not even a jiu-jitsu meme. That just became an internet meme.
Yeah.
Like, it was everywhere. But anyway.
Clark Gracie, look him up.
This, off of this omoplata attempt, damn near past, Roberto and Victor end up in a leg entanglement, and they end up in 50-50. And, Roberto's attempting toe holds, like, Hugo looks completely nonplussed.
They both kind of look nonplussed like a portion of this entanglement in the 50-50.
I would say they spend like
outside inside leg position.
30 seconds to 60 seconds, just kind of like chilling out, like kind of doing little grip battles.
We had a really intense scramble there, and they kind of both kind of look and like reassess the situation.
And then
no one's in a ton of danger, and then all of a sudden,
Hugo leans over, and Maine counted this out, and I think you counted like 2 or 3 seconds. Within 2 or 3 seconds, you can see Victor's arm go off camera to what clearly to us appears to be a toe hold kind of position.
Yeah.
And 2 to 3 seconons later, Roberto's tapping. It's
I did it frame by frame almost, as much as I can do frame by frame on flow grappling. And I clicked and at I think 5:26 into the match footage, you see they're both sitting, mirrored stance, and Roberto's not making a face, and there's no Hugo has not reached over. And a second and a half later, you can see Roberto flared out and lifting his chest up, like trying to defend this toe. Like, he goes from nothing is happening to
I'm in a lot of pain.
Oh god, my leg's gonna break in a second.
This is what happens to me when people get toe hold grips. Like, so I understand that. And what Maine and I were talking about beforehand was like, the camera angle is to Hugo's back, so you can't really see what's happening.
At all.
What I assume happened is Hugo did the thing with the toe hold where you don't grip and then start applying torque. You just launch, you get that momentum built in.
What I think he has, based on the hand positioning, I think he grips a one-handed toe hold, folds it down, and throws the other hand in there to wrench it in. Like, I'm curious to see if there's like a side angle footage that would have this, because again, it goes from there is no toe hold to Jimenez like, oh shit, toe hold.
Tap. And then what scared me was like Jimenez didn't get up immediately. I was like, oh no, shit.
Jimenez, be young and super strong and powerful for no reason and have awesome ligaments for like no reason because you're like.
He was able to walk it off, so hopefully it's nothing major. But anyway, Hugo gets the tap, gets the 10,000. Phenomenal match.
Yeah.
Love watching these guys compete. And then in the super fight,
the main event super fight.
I could call it super fight.
Super fight. Yep.
Cashino defeats Johnny Tama via decision.
Dude, back-to-back nights. It was funny. This match was almost the exact same as the Kennedy match from the previous night. Cashino was the main event 2 nights in a row on Third Coast and on Fight to Win 151. And it just looked like a really, really similar match between both of them. Lots of collar sleeve work, good flexibility from Cashino, and really just, yeah, super close match, ends in overtime with a near sweep for Cashino, gets it done. So, yeah, overall, like a really, really fun event. I'm really happy that we're seeing more frequent events from Third Coast. And there's a bunch of undercard matches as well. It was overall a lot of fun. The bigger mat space is a world of difference, like night and day from the previous events for the Kumite, and I knew it was gonna bark. From the previous events the Kumite's run and like this event. Like, we had a couple of restarts this time, but this mat space is exactly what we were looking for. So I'm really happy they made that change. Yeah, overall a good event. Any kind of closing comments on the event?
No, I just love Kumites, man. I think Third Coast is killing it.
They are. So I'm going to move into Fight to Win 151.
Let's do it.
All right, Fight to Win 151, headlined by Cashino versus Kennedy Massael, Cobrinha Jr. Also, Tex Johnson versus Lovato, and Gabriel Arges versus Marcio Andre. Which one do you want to start with here? Why do you laugh?
I guess we'll start at the top. We'll go with Kennedy Massael defeating Cashino via decision.
Becomes the lightweight champion, adult lightweight champion in the gi. We haven't seen a ton from Kennedy recently, but
yeah, it's good to see him. And now with a belt in Fight to Win, hopefully he becomes active. And
we're gonna see him more.
Right.
I'm super excited about that. I like watching Kennedy. He's one of those guys. He's one of those like young, new, not prospect black belts is like not what the right way to put it, but like a guy that could very well go on to have a huge like legacy career, and it's cool to like be watching him at the beginning of that.
What I like about Kennedy is like he, for better or worse, has like something to prove, and so he comes with that kind of like energy.
An energy and like an aggressiveness almost for like how hard he will fight in the positions.
Right.
And
yeah,
it's cool.
So go back and forth here. At one point, Kennedy slams, which was we love slams.
We love
over
slams.
Here. Great sweep attempts and like back and forth, and like in particular, I think Kennedy seals this decision in the last minute and 30 seconds. Attacking a straight ankle
lock. With the straight ankle lock. Yeah. And we kind of talk about on the show like jokingly like ankle locks in the last 30 seconons don't count, but
he was readjusting.
Yes, he had opened up the position enough. He wasn't just like going for it, looking at the refs and judges and putting it down.
Doing that ridiculous face or whatever.
He legitimately looked like he was trying to adjust and get better positioning and like he was trying to make Cashino defend the leg lock and actually going for it. And I think that I would definitely agree. That's what gets it done the last 30 seconds. A lot of like really nice.
It's a minute and 30 seconds, but yeah.
I think the last 30 seconds for me, that was where I saw like...
Yeah,
where it's like, oh yeah, this actually like could be a defendable ankle lock here. And in the eyes of the judge, I think that's probably what counted the most. It was a fun match back and forth. I enjoy watching both these guys. It's cool to see Cashino like back-to-back days because he plays a game that is very, very different to the game that I play. And so I find it somewhat difficult to like fully appreciate and be able to like talk about it intelligently. So it's cool to see more of him like back to back with different opponents to see like, okay, he's doing this collar sleeve game, exactly how he's implementing the Leheva hooks, the shin to shin weight, and like how he's making the shifts and adjustments. It was a really good match. If you want to look at a guy, it's not like a tournament where it's the same day. You can see sort of two independent preparations for two different guys. It's cool to see like a guy headline back to back like this. But congrats to Kennedy, gets it done, becomes the lightweight champion for Fight to Win in the gi.
Next up, co-main event, we have Tex Johnson defeating Rafael Lovato Jr. via decision.
Become the light heavyweight Masters champion. This match got a lot of heat.
Oh my goodness.
Online. There was an entire Reddit thread about people complaining about this match. Okay, so I got two things. One, I actually really enjoyed like the technical stuff that I saw in this match. I will totally agree it was not the most exciting match. But
that's a powerful understatement. I can only think of one match that was more ridiculous to watch, which is the Schaub.
Oh, there's been way more than that.
Cyborg.
That's like one of the most notable ones. We have covered like matches that were less.
That
exciting.
Was 20 minutes though.
I forgot that.
That's the difference.
I remember.
That's the only reason why that one takes.
I remember that match because I watched the sped up version of that match whenever I rewatched the match because
that was
watched that match
20 minutes.
Yeah.
That was 20 minutes. That's the only jiu-jitsu match that I can think of.
I think I watched that live,
now,
too.
Granted, what you said is true. There was definitely meta happening here.
There was reasons for what happened in this match.
And so you said something funny about Cashino.
It wasn't just either guy like running away. It was they were put in a position, and we'll talk about this here in a second. Make your point, and then I'll make my next point.
Yeah, what you said about Cashino, I feel about in terms of you not understanding his game. That's me in 50-50, especially in the gi. Okay. Which is why you and I had such a big discussion beforehand about this because
we pulled the mats out in the basement to go to the position so I could talk through exactly what I was seeing and basically why it was a bad idea for Lovato to make any big moves.
Basically, without, if you haven't watched the match, the only thing that happens is they get into 50-50 and Lovato's on top in basically a combat base.
Yep.
That's it.
For about 6.5 minutes?
6.5 minutes, yeah, something like that. And then, literally no attempt for sweeps, anything.
The match sits there, and both guys sit there. So I was super interested in this match because there is a very, very good reason why. And actually, the ref at one point, I think 5 minutes in, like breaks it up and tries to restart it. And Seth goes, "No, we don't do that here. Like, what are you doing? Like, this match is going to happen. How this match is going to happen. We're not going to reset the match." And Tex goes, looks like, "What are we doing? Like, there's no resets. We're not resetting the position." And they get back in position, and it's all good. Tex has an ankle lock grip. And we watched a bunch of Tex announced matches before this.
Basically, he has Lovato's ankle in his armpit.
Correct.
With the forearm back across the calf.
And he has...
Lovato's up in combat base.
And he has the sleeve. He has Lovato's sleeve down low, pinned next to the foot as well, which is huge because Lovato can't posture up and run away. But you also don't want to do that versus Tex Johnson, because if you remember the Tex Johnson match versus Hudson Taylor at ADCC East Coast Trials 2018... He won the East Coast Trials via a knee bar on Hudson Taylor when Hudson Taylor tried to running man away from it, which is the exact position that Lovato's in here with the gi. Also, Tex Johnson has finished from a very similar position. Matt Layton at Subspectrum. This is a slightly different position we talked about. Basically, it was outside 50-50, and then Tex basically lifts over for the butterfly hook to get to single leg X, and then boots down and almost finishes kind of like a twisting ankle
that position was a single leg X with the foot off of the hip.
Yeah. So why Lovato doesn't basically go to turn and running man away is because A, his sleeve's caught, but B, because Tex can invert to the knee bar. And Tex is really good at that. Also, Tex can boot down for the ankle lock. Lovato doesn't want to commit his weight over forward to force Tex to invert, because we've seen Tex finish like inverted before, very similar to how Gary Tonin finished one of his recent matches at one, where he just rolls over his own neck and shoulders to finish the heel hook. We've seen Tex finish ankle locks like that as well. Like, Tex is a really good ankle locker. Like, one of the best ankle lockers like in the sport. He has the win over Felipe Pena via heel hook because he just grips and goes, and the Felipe Pena finish was belly down as well. Like, Lovato is not in a good spot to be able to make any sort of adjustment because Tex can boot him forward and go underneath for the ankle lock, or can push him away and go to the side for the ankle lock. And Lovato knows this because Tex has a notoriously terrifying grip. I think Tex has even like 1 or 2 wins ADCC. Like, did he finish Thor with an ankle lock?
I can't remember.
I think he might have finished Thor with an ankle lock as well, but like, he's known for this. And so Lovato's like, okay, I'll wait for him to adjust the position. And Tex goes, well, I'm in a dominant position. I'm going for a sub here. I'm in a position on the leg. This is the entire match. If it goes to decision, which it did, I'm going to take the decision. And so this is the match we got.
And what's interesting, actually, now that I think about this, it's interesting that Lovato's also so terrified of the straight ankle lock in 50-50 that he doesn't feel comfortable sitting like butt to butt. Like that
I think he gets I think the reason why is because Tex Johnson if
heel hooks were allowed, I would be like worried about that.
But Tex Johnson, the way he finishes, you actually picked this up. We watched the ending for the Matt Layton match at Subspectrum. That like Tex Johnson tends to finish the ankle locks when he doesn't heel hook you, but he has a low grip on the ankle. There's a twisting to it, and he starts to twist at the. We'll
call it like a steamer lock ish.
Well, kind of, but it's like he just is so fucking strong. Like again, Tex Johnson's the guy that started the baseball.
They're strong, but specifically, strength will not get you the separation and leverage that you need if you're in 50-50 butt to butt. Like, it doesn't matter.
But I think in the process of Lovato having to shift the weight, he would give Tex enough like angle to get underneath him and push him away instead of just sitting butt to butt. Like he's gonna have to move, and then Tex is gonna capitalize on that movement.
I would kill to hear what was going on in both of their heads. I mean, like, kind of know what Tex was going for. I'm really curious as to what Lovato was looking for, what he was worried about, and there's probably a very good technical answer, as to why these different positions were he did not want to be in, but it's hard to speculate.
It was definitely a slower match, but I actually really appreciated watching it play out, because you figure, these guys aren't going to move because neither of them.
They're thinking
is willing to move.
3 steps ahead.
And that for me, that's always super, super. That's kind of a huge reason why I watch grappling. We watch as much grappling as we do is because all of those little meta changes, and it's like, okay, so you watch two guys just cancel each other out in this match, and then as a result, not a lot of action happens.
It's
in the match.
It's like watching like an old samurai flick where they're like in a standoff, like just like holding their swords up, and like there's some crazy fucking psychological shit going on for strategy.
And that's why I actually genuinely enjoyed like that piece of the match. You don't need to watch the whole match.
I mean,
you can watch.
You
can watch
literally
the first
need only a frame.
40 seconds of the match.
You don't even need to watch it.
And
just look at a single frame.
That was the match.
But yeah, anyway.
So that's what happened. So Tex Johnson, actually in the interview after, he talked about, I think he could not remember what other belt he has for Fight to Win. But he's like, yeah, I'll get more belts. I'll defend these belts. So I'm like, I'm cool that like Tex is a guy that does show up and compete, and he's notoriously like very difficult to beat and terrifying. So I'm down to see him, defend those belts. I like when guys are active. I like when guys to defend. Tex is a guy that's going to do that. So, so that was the match.
Next up, Gabriel Arges defeats Marcio Andre via decision.
Good match, back and forth, good 50-50 sweeps. Gabriel's super dynamic with his legs. Is always like to be able to pummel and stand back up. I think historically both these guys are like a weight class apart. For some reason I think Marcio is like a career lightweight or like maybe down a featherweight. But I always get this wrong, and Josh always corrects me. But I think they're a weight class apart. But again, it was a really good match, really good back and forth. It was fun.
Next up, Joao Pedro Somalia defeats Mohamed Magarev via decision.
And that was fight of the night for the black belts.
This was it's funny. Watching this match, amazing energy off the bat. It's that like really jittery, stiff kind of energy, like frenetic energy.
Where both guys kind of like
every time I see that, I like just thinking about the times when I've had to roll against people who come with that energy. I'm just like, I almost get like nauseous. I'm like, God damn, I hate it when you like get that guy and you're like, God damn it, this is gonna be a fucking like roller coaster.
This is gonna be it's never an easy match either. Every guy that comes in like that, you're like, man, like this is just like I may win this match, but it's not gonna be easy.
Yeah, no.
It's like because this guy is gonna be tough and he's willing to like go and explode.
Yeah,
like exactly. Guys remind me of that are like Muhammad and Erberth.
Yep,
are both guys that kind of come in like not maybe as much Muhammad, but like they come in a little jit and you're like, man, this guy at any point in time can just launch and try to murder me.
Erupt. Yeah, exactly. It makes you like very like how you play and take balance changes a lot when you're against someone like that.
I really enjoy these kind of fights for that reason.
I do too. I love
because they're fun.
Them.
It's like, oh,
I just hate participating.
I kind of get like, oh, but also I kind of like hard fights because they're like
also. I mean,
what you can do.
Yeah, Joao Pedro just crushing these passes, multiple passes.
Yeah,
really good regarding by Muhammad. But yeah, very dominant match for Joao Pedro. So next up, Lucas Lima defeats David Parker via ankle lock.
And that was submission of the night for the black belts.
That was Lucas's second win of the night. Next up, Sebastian Black defeats Jason Butcher via heel hook. Lucas Lima again defeats Vinny Sains via decision.
On to the brown belt results.
Emil Fisher defeats Kevin McCormick via heel hook.
He retains the Masters Light Heavyweight Championship title in the Nogi. I read that in a super weird way. I read the wind down as well. So, yeah, dude, Emil Fisher getting it done. We saw him a couple weeks ago, I think in Who's Number One. That was for the adult belt.
Yeah.
At that time. And so...
He's coming up on SUG, is that right?
Yep, he's on SUG. Dude, we cover Fisher, like, all the time. He's a super active competitor. He's got a super frustrating style, as other people have described.
Yeah, the commentators were talking about it in this match. And, I mean, he has a game that he's very good at. And, like, he gets to... that entanglement, exactly what he wants, and it's actually, again, speaking of matches, watching the same match, it's like another just about 50-50 entanglement, dueling heel hooks, but this is Emil's A game, so
once Emil gets to your legs, like he's again, that is
it's a quick tap. It's
his game. He has got really, really good and strong finishing mechanics on his taps.
Yep.
He actually does a bunch of like instructional videos, and he puts them out really frequently on a bunch of the platforms on I think like Instagram. I know I've seen him on Facebook a bunch of times. I think he has like his whole app that he puts his videos on. Like he does a lot of instructional work, and he talks a lot about like finishing and like why and how, and that is shown here when Fischer, takes another leg. I think Fischer's got a championship in like, I think he's got a Zapatero belt. I know he had a couple fight to win belts. I think he's at one point, there's like 4 or 5 different promotions that Fischer's the champion of right now. And so dude's super active. We're gonna continue to see more of him. I'm curious to see when he's gonna move into black, because we've seen him crushing brown belt for a couple of years now. So
next up, we have Brad Schneider defeating Felipe Timoteo via decision.
becomes the fight to win heavyweight champion.
Carlos Neto defeats Eric Ceballos via decision. Edward Johnson defeats Anthony Croncy via anaconda choke.
And that's submission of the night for the brown belts.
Nathan Imnan defeats Aaron Culpepper via split decision. Cameron Adair defeats Alan Brooks via heel hook. Troy Edmund Russell defeats Anthony Robinson via split decision.
And that was fight of the night for the brown belts. On to the purple belt results.
Troy D. Mercer defeats Gabriel Costa and becomes the light heavyweight no-gi champion.
Taking my shit, Emil.
That was fight of the night
for the purple belt. I got one thing. I can't read the names, Emil. You know that I read like what belt level we're at. I read like what the championship status is, and fight of the night, submission of the night. Don't take my thing, Emil. I can't do the names.
Fran Papasadero defeats David Rigsby via choke. Jordan Rain Sains defeats John Sanchez via split decision. Blair Severson defeats Vanak Chim via split decision. Ramiro Leon defeats Austin McNeil via armbar.
And that was submission of the night for the purple belts.
Tierra Lewis defeats Hannah Sternblitz via decision. Greg Raphael defeats Levi Kurtovich via heel hook. Zach Wallivar defeats Dylan Kastelik via decision. Dominic Ramos defeats Colton Phoenix via decision. Mark Lorello Jr. defeats Kenneth Kindred the 4th via decision.
On to the blue belt results.
Blake Bradshaw defeats Joshua Neely via heel hook.
I love heel hooks at blue belt. Just saying, I'm all about it.
Jaden Nobles defeats Jose Ruiz via baseball choke. Alex,
did you ever compete with heel hooks?
Compete? No.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious.
Jaden Nobles defeats Jose Ruiz via baseball choke. Alex Leon defeats Robert Gallen via armbar. Nick Gates defeats Danny Bicheller via split decision.
And that was Friday night for the blue belts.
Michael Metry defeats Evan Wassman via armbar. Skylar Adele defeats Elizabeth Sandoval via armbar.
That was submission of the night for the blue belts.
Ardawan Steele defeats Mickey McDougall via decision. And Matt Mendez defeats Killian Carlson Felon via decision.
On to the 1-teen result.
Jet Thompson defeats Jordan Riddle via decision.
And that was fight of the night for the teens. So let's move on to our preview of Fight to Win 152 taking place in Dallas, Texas. This one is main evented by a black belt gi title between Edwin Najme and Michael Lehrer Jr. Michael Lehrer Jr. used to be Atos, opened up his own gym, Logos Jiu-Jitsu. We know what Najme is going to do in this match.
Yep.
He is going to try to flying triangle Michael Lehrer Jr.
Yep.
And Michael Lehrer Jr. is going to try to stop it.
Yeah.
I'm honestly like we've been seeing a lot from Najme recently since quarantine. We've seen a little less from Michael Lehrer. I'm curious to see like how he looks coming back in. I think he might have been on one fight to win since quarantine, but I don't remember the match. But we've seen Najme a bunch. It's a great main event. Welterweight title. I think Najme has the title at welterweight now. So this will be, I think, one of his first title offenses. I forget who he won that off of. But I love having active champions. Look for Najme to throw flying triangles. He's got such a good style for Fight to Win.
Yeah.
Like big, flashy subs, and they're legitimately a threat.
Yep.
He's aggressive. Like, the more I think about like certain guys' games, the more I think about like, oh, that's a really good game for Fight to Win.
Yep.
Like, and Najme has one of like the top like game styles for Fight to Win. Him and the Tackets.
Yep.
Next match, we have a co-main event. We have a Masters middleweight black belt gi title. Rafael Formiga Barbosa versus Alex Martins.
We see Formiga on Fight to Win pretty frequently.
He's been the Masters middleweight champion for a while. He'd go for the adult title.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure
he lost the title. He lost one of his titles to someone. I forgot who he lost it to. And then I think he still had the championship. I think he still has the Masters middleweight gi title. But dude, super nice guy. Tons and tons of footage on Barbosa.
Yeah.
Long-standing champion at Fight to Win. Excited for this one. 200-pound black belt gi match. Coming back again, Romulo Barral versus Gabriel Almeida.
Yep.
When's the last time we saw Romulo? A couple weeks ago?
Romulo? Yes. Yeah. And
It's killing me. I can't. I'm completely blanking on who he. Did he fight Lovato?
Was he on Subversive? Was he?
No, wasn't on Subversive. It's gonna kill me. I'm sitting here looking. I'm going like, who did Romulo fight like 2 weeks ago?
I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, you gotta look it up because I'm just blank.
Gabriel Almeida. Obviously, we're seeing very active.
We saw him on Kumite this last week.
Yep. Kumite. He was also for sure on Subversive as well.
Yep.
So
he was on that Checkmate Gold team, I think.
Fight to Win 149, Kumite 4.
For Almeida?
Yeah. For Almeida.
Bahal. Did you look up Bahal or no?
Yeah, Bahal. Let's see. It's pulling up now.
I can't believe I cannot remember. Like, it's like literally within the last like 2 or 3 weeks, he
150. He fought Tanner Rice.
That's what it was, and he finished him, right?
Decision.
Decision? Okay. Yeah, completely like one of those quarantine things I messed up. So yeah, good match for Romulo. Good match for Gabriel. We have a 170-pound match. This is honestly one of the ones I'm most hype about.
I'm surprised this isn't like a co-main or even a main.
Well, given who they have on here, like
so
I kind of understand it because
it's
like,
Jonathan Alves versus Johnny Tama.
Yeah, because Najme is your champion at welterweight, defending champion. Barbosa is a long-standing defending champion.
That's true.
Romulo is coming back, like really, really high-level guy. Huge accolades, but doesn't currently have a title, and Alves doesn't currently have a title, so it makes sense you put your black belt title guys on the top, especially like historically defending title ones. But still, it is kind of surprising to see a guy like Johnny Tama and Jonathan Alves not being at the top of the card. And that kind of speaks to the strength of the card, which is cool.
Yep.
What do you think is going to happen in this match? You know a lot about Jonathan's game. I know a ton about Johnny Tama's game. What do you see?
In gi, I mean, like
it's a gi match, and Tama historically, at least recently, been more of a no-gi guy.
I think he's in deep water here. Like Jonathan is. I mean,
we just saw him versus Cashino this weekend at
Johnny Tama. Yeah.
Yeah, at Third Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm having a struggle right now. So yeah, so how do you think it goes? How do you think it plays out?
I mean, I think Jonathan's going to dictate the pace of this match.
Do you think it looks like the Shane Taylor match at Spider?
No, I feel
like we're going to try to see Alves go for the back with the Barambola.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the guard, and it obviously depends. It's hard to predict how strategies play out, but I do see Jonathan, probably sticking to his A game, his guard work, and going from there. So
yeah, I think he's probably going to pull here. I'm curious to see how Tama addresses the grip game and like works to get around. Tama historically is really, really explosive passer, but tends to do it from like the squatting position, like really historically no-gi like passing style, which I like a lot. But I'm curious to see if Alves is able to keep him postured down with the collar grips, maybe even go like a little bit of shin to shin.
I wouldn't
try to get around
be
him.
Surprised if this match was fairly close for a little bit, and then Jonathan just kind of will erupt out.
You've seen a couple of the AOJ guys, and even Levi Jones-Lehrer, who plays kind of a similar game, not struggle on Fight to Win, but have matches that were a little closer than we expected, just given their really, really heavy IBJJF scoring style.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think because Jonathan Alves, from that AOJ camp, that's the style of jiu-jitsu that they play. They're not big flashy finishers. They are position first, control. Yeah. I'm looking to get behind you. I'm looking to get to your back. I'm looking to pass really systematically. I'm looking to kind of crawl up, take inches and inches and inches throughout a 10-minute black belt match, and then settle my position with an ad or with the points that I need to win.
Right.
Is not as friendly in the Fight to Win rules. So a guy like Tama, actually, the more I think about this, the more interested I am in how this match is going to play out.
Yeah,
Tama's
very different style.
Is a very, very aggressive and sub fighter. And
it's true,
can
but
he throw up enough, or can Jonathan, you think, lock down position well enough from the guard?
I think Jonathan locks it down. I think it's really hard for the submission guys to get to positions where they can even throw up a reasonable attempt.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking is going to play out. Like Alves is going to pull, he's going to get below Tama, and Tama's going to have a hard time like making enough space to get the control that he needs to come back in on either a leg or an arm or a neck. And I just think we're going to see Alves like get a sweep here and kind of work to pass, maybe get the back and start to throw something in. I feel like Tama's going to be on the defensive. In Nogi, I mean, I think this is a lot closer match, but I just think Alves is really going to lock it down with the grips. But I am curious to kind of the style versus style in this matchup.
Yep. Next up, 195-pound black belt gi match. Nathan Mendelsohn via Rafael Lang. Versus. 195-pound black belt no gi match. David Garcia versus Isaiah Wright. 175-pound black belt gi match. Rodrigo Lopez versus Juanan Barboza. And 160-pound black belt gi match. Alejandro Sequeira versus Chris Hutchinson.
On the next match I'm super excited for.
210 black belt judo match.
Oh, yeah.
Vernon Kirk versus Garrett Andrews. It's been a little while since we've seen a judo. It has been
a little while since we have seen
a judo match. It was such a good addition
I
to Fight
think
to Win.
we've seen a couple of them since then, but it's like they're not nearly as
I don't think we've seen them
in
quarantine. I can't remember covering a judo match in quarantine.
I think we've covered one or two, but it's been very infrequent. So I'm super excited to see another like judo match. They are, I think, 80% of the time crazy to watch.
Easily 80%. Yeah. Easily 80% of the time they're very entertaining.
Yeah, they're just fun like matches to watch. It gives me an excuse to like spend some time learning judo during the weekend. Like, oh, what's this throw? And I text Emil like, Emil, what's this? What did I just see?
I have to look it up too. Like,
yeah, but you're way better about it. Do you have a judo background? Or you just like
no,
it?
It's
like you're just me. Like I just enjoy and like judo and like I've studied it independently.
I've had enough jiu-jitsu instructors that have had formal judo training.
Yeah.
And like when I was training at Henza's main academy, like Danaher is a judo black belt, so he also
uses all the Japanese terminology.
He's very he's anal about that.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. We also have a 200-pound brown belt gi match, Wally Thompson versus Nader Tanar. And we have a 185-pound brown belt gi match, Tainan Daupra, AOJ versus Itlato Lima Costa from Aries Academy. I'm curious to see, again, Tainan from the AOJ team, another one of those brown belt prodigies. Hasn't gone to black yet. I think he's still 18. So I think he's probably going to... He might be... I don't think he's that old. He's been a young guy, been covering for a while on AOJ. Again, I'm super curious to see how this one plays out. We cover him, whenever we can, and so he's a fun guy to watch. The rest of the card looks good. Standard Fight to Win card. A lot of brown belts, a lot of purple belts throughout the lower belts. Usually bring it. I'm glad that they're back to running sort of more full-fledged cards. They've been doing it for a little bit here, but it's cool to see them kind of getting a footing down in Texas and be able to run events consistently down between Austin and Dallas. I don't think they branched out to any other place right now, but commentary's been really good. Howell is
a great comment. I think the more I listen to him, the more he's one of my favorite commentators.
Say dumb shit.
He doesn't say dumb. He stays focused. Mm-hmm. Because he runs a the media for jiu-jitsu. Yeah. He watches so much that he like you has a really good memory for like people's styles and what they've done before, and so it sounds like a pro sport commentary,
because he knows the guys, he's watched the matches, he's been there and he's been around it, and he's not gonna I don't know what he does, and he does.
It's not a local guy who is very good and talented and can describe the positions but doesn't know the history of the fighters necessarily. That's a rare combination.
Carabambolo. I'm blanking on the guy's
name.
Yeah. He's the other guy that's been commentating down there in Texas.
Oh, really?
He's a local Texas guy.
No shit.
And he fills in like all of the local stuff, but also they're in Texas, so Howell and the Flow guys are all in Texas. So both they have that local flair, as well as how when I had to bring the international guys and the big name guys, he can talk about like a lot of the really in-depth stuff from like the high level. And it's been awesome to hear him. He's been on Third. I mean, basically every single weekend, he's like one of the main commentators for either Third Coast or Fight to Win. And it's really refreshing to have like consistently really, really nice commentary because he's a good commentator.
He also doesn't go into story time.
Yes.
Like sometimes you'll get like good black belts like world champions and stuff like that who give excellent analysis, but then they go into story time and it's
They're
like
talking about old school Brazil.
Dude.
I'm like, bro, he's in the middle of setting up this X choke. Like, please talk me
Focus.
through why it's so dope.
Howell's always focused. So yeah,
it's exciting. I'm happy that they're, again, the quality. I'm super happy with the quality of events that have been able to be run. Like,
every few months,
props to you guys, like being able to get it done with the restrictions and everything else going on. Like, I can't wait for this fucking vaccine.
Yeah, no, me too, man.
Looking forward to it. So that's all I got. It'll be a single card event next weekend. Then we got a bunch of stuff to preview the following weekend. That's all I got. Anything else you got?
That's it.
What should we look like?
Chilling, man. That's like I'm starting to also add biking to my routine.
Nice.
Try to.
I stopped running. It's been great.
Yeah, exactly.
I've just been like, my body was just like I'm just like dreading it. So I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably run a little bit recently, but I'm getting a bunch of allergy testing done. So I have like this giant, like my entire back is covered with like allergy strips. And I'm like, okay, cool. They told me I could work out, and then today they're like, you can't like get that wet or like sweat on it. And I went, yo, like on the consult meeting like 3 months ago, you were like, yeah, you're totally good to work out and just you can't like wash it. And I was like, okay. And today they were like, no sweat. And I went, cool. Not like Rachel and I were gonna train like after the podcast today at 8. Like, all right, cool. I just won't train till Friday. So I'm relatively unhappy because I took like the last week off for the most part, kind of let my body heal up, and I was gonna like hit it this week, and I just can't. So now I'm like, cool. I just get to watch like even more jiu-jitsu tape study and be upset that I can't do anything.
Yeah, right.
So that's my entire week.
It did feel good to go through like positions and stuff with you before this recording because like, yeah, it's been 6 months since I've trained.
Look, I mean, we got mats at the house. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because like, I see you enough where it's like, and you're reasonable with your life. We can do it pretty safely. But yeah, I got nothing else this week. I'm looking forward to the dope events that are coming up next week. That's it.
Yeah.
So, as always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, to my co-host,
Emil.
and we are the Grappling Rewind. We'll see you on the mats. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.